Hello, everyone. My name is Gianna Castro, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Sports Matter podcast. Today, we have a very special guest here. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. I am Brooke Wyckoff, and I coach women's basketball at Florida State.
So, before we get into today's interview, y'all know how we do it here. We're going to get to that ad read. Today's episode is sponsored by none other than Anchor. Okay. And we'll jump into that interview. So, this is the Women's Sports Matter podcast. My name is Gianna Castro, and let's head into today's interview. All right. Wasn't that ad read just so beautiful? I really got to change it because I'm not a fan, but it's really nice to have you here today. How's your day going so far?
Oh, it is great. Just we have the day off today from practice, so I am staying safe and working remotely and hanging out with my 7-year-old daughter after she got out of online school. So it's been a great day so far, but I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Living the online school life, I can relate.
Mm.
All my classes are online, so is my sister's. I have the choice of staying home. My college was recently closed. Their campus was closed, but they're deciding to reopen. Even though we're like a small university, we're just trying to keep everyone safe. So COD is like, hey, if you want to come in, you can come in, but we have limited stuff. And I was like, you know what? It's cheaper to do online school. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so pretty exciting stuff from college freshman standpoint. But the first thing I want to jump into today is you are the head coach for right now. What was that whole process like before you jumping into that role, and how do you think you've been doing so far? Are you comfortable as being in charge and everything like that?
Yes, I was given a really fortunate situation, just to be able to. I've been an assistant here for 10 years. So, well, 9 years. I played here. I played for my boss, Sue Semrau, who is the actual head coach, and she's been the head coach for the last 25 years. So everything here at Florida State was really familiar to me. So to step into the head coach role for this season was a dream scenario for me in terms of we already had all these great players. We have a great team, all the people on the staff that have been here forever and are really good at what they do, coaches, director of ops, strength coach, everybody on our staff are top-notch professionals, sports information director Stephen Stone. So really there was nothing crazy that I had to come in and change, overhaul. It was just kind of all handed to me. Now, that being said, is handed to me with obviously the pressure and the expectation that I uphold, what we've been able to do. So there is that side of it, but it's been a really nice experience, and it's all because of the people that I'm surrounded by. The staff and our players are amazing, and just make it a really fun experience.
So I really haven't been following college women's basketball lately. My focus has been towards the NWSL mostly. Not really much of a TV watcher anymore, especially since school and stuff. So how are you guys doing right now? What is your standing? Do you think that you're going to be a top seed in the tournament in March? Tell me all about that.
Well, COVID has affected our season specifically really, really. Uh, it's affected it a lot. We had five, I believe, actually, I think we had four non-conference games scheduled, three of which were canceled. So we played one non-conference game before we jumped into conference. And since we've been in conference, we've played three. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Yeah, we've played three games in conference. No. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Steve, I need your we're 4-1. Okay.
Four games,
We
yeah.
played four ACC games. So, but it's been spread out over a long period of time. We started, mid-December playing and have only played 5 games, and it's been a month. And that's very rare usually we're playing 2 games a week at least. So, it's been kind of a stop and start process, but we're 4-1, which is great. And we're looking forward to playing a lot of really good basketball coming up. Um, So the way standings and tournament seed, all that is just like so like hard to tell because so many people have been shut down. Everybody's played a different amount of games. So as these next kind of couple months go along, hopefully that'll all shake out and we'll see where we stand. But the goal is to get to the NCAA tournament, of course.
I was really disappointed last year when they canceled the tournament. I think I was in school when it happened, and I was like, basketball being taken away from me, the
I
one thing that I
know.
look forward to. I love watching the women's March Madness tournament. I've kind of like drifted away from the men's. I don't even know who gets drafted in the NBA, but WNBA, oh yes, I
Good.
definitely know who's being drafted there. I was hoping to watch Oregon and South Carolina last year, like in the finals or
Mhm.
something. That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Um, but moving on, so this year is different because of COVID and everything. Is there stuff at practices that you've had to change because of this, or is everything running the same?
It's definitely different. We have to do things differently, like in the training room, in the weight room. We can't have the whole team in there at once. We have to be really specific about how we schedule all of those types of things. We have to make sure that we're not all in the film room together. Like we have to be very cognizant of our distance with each other in situations like that when we're not technically on the court practicing. Everybody's in masks when we're not on the court. When we get onto the court, it's obviously normal in terms of what the players are doing. Some of them at times will practice in masks, but they don't have to be in masks. Coaching wise, though, and staff, we all have to be in masks at all times. So that was an adjustment, just figuring out how to get your point across, how to get people to hear you in a practice setting, and even blow a whistle, have, be able to do either with a handheld whistle or find a way to blow your whistle behind your mask. It's been those types of little things have been an adjustment. But when it comes down to the actual playing of the game, everything's the same, thankfully. The only other thing is in the games, our benches look completely different. They're very spaced out, much like the WNBA was and the NBA in the bubble. And everybody really in every sport these days, right? They're all spaced out. So that, just the communication part of it has been different with masks and not being able to just be together all the time. Like not being able to have a team meeting in a meeting room, where you can kind of be close and talk and things like that. You had to be spaced out. So there's been challenges, but I'm just glad that, and I know our players are really glad that we're able to play normal basketball.
So is everyone getting tested every day, or is it every other day? And is that like a fast
Yes.
process?
Yes, that's another thing that has been different. You're right. We test now that we're in season, we test 3 times a week at least. We do the PCR tests. So it's a fast process, but it's still a nasal swab deal. And the results aren't instantaneous. We usually get them later in the day. Like if we test at noon, best case scenario, we're getting them late evening, sometimes the next day. It just depends on how busy the Florida State lab is. So yes, that has been another thing just to kind of have to remember 3 times a week to get tested, and wait for results and wonder about results and things like that. So that's definitely a challenge, a mental kind of weight of just always having to be cognizant of making sure that, I'm staying safe and also, yeah, having to go actually test is, another thing on the to-do list 3 times a week.
I can feel you on that. I've been tested a few times myself. Luckily, I haven't had COVID yet.
Good.
It's been months or whatever. Um, I want to talk about the day that the world shook, which was the day, at least for me, was March 13th, which is coming up in 2 months, is my last day of school, my
Mhm.
last day of senior year. I just want to talk about that real quick. I don't think I've talked about that on here before. My last day of senior year was on March 13th in school. Obviously, we had school online after that. Um, but I left school early because I had double early because I had an internship with the King County Cougars,
Mm.
which dissolved, but I'm
Mm,
actually going back there, getting an actual job this time. They're hiring me again to work there
good.
for the in March. So it's been a year later and I'm going back there. I think
Great.
I'm gonna be the youngest person there, youngest person to be paid there. It's really
Very
cool.
cool.
But I left double early. So I left after sixth period. I went home. I turned CNN on. I was like, what in the world is happening? I
Yeah.
called my mom. I was like, they canceled baseball. They canceled all these sports. I was like freaking out. What happened that day when you realized stuff is about to go down in this country?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't remember specifically what day it was, but I'm sure it was one of those like around that same time. It was, I think it might have been Friday after, or maybe the day after they canceled the NBA or they shut down the NBA that night when Rudy Gobert tested positive and then everything shut down. It might have been the next day. We had just the weekend before competed in the ACC tournament. We had made it to the finals and lost in the last couple minutes to NC State in the finals of our conference tournament. So we were really excited coming off of that, like great momentum, made it to the conference finals. And we're waiting that week. We had been practicing and we were going to be waiting for the NCAA bracket to be announced the following Monday. And so when we were watching, we were at our practice facility getting ready for practice as a staff and watching, and our men's team was at their ACC tournament. They were about to get on the court. They were actually warming up for a game, and it was one of those scenarios that we all saw where uh, they got pulled off the court. Uh, that we were like, are they going to play? No, they're going to play, but they're not letting fans in. Okay, nope, they're not going to play. And so when we saw that, we knew that it was pretty close that they were going to cancel the NCAA tournament, and it happened later that day. So our players were really disappointed. Our seniors were disappointed. We were disappointed because we felt like we had a lot of momentum going, and we were excited about what our seed was going to be and how we could do in the NCAA tournament. And then, yeah, it was all just over. Like you said, the world shook, and we were just shut down. So what next? What do we do? And so that was really, we brought the team in, told them, and everybody, I think a lot of people just went home and didn't come back for a while. It turned out that they just stayed home for a while. So yeah, crazy to think how far we've come in a lot of ways, and in others not, we haven't come very far at all.
Yeah.
So,
I just like hearing about everyone's different stories from that day
yeah.
because it's so interesting. I remember
Yeah.
I was with my mom before she closed her store. She had a store downtown, and they had to close because of COVID, which is like
Mm,
really unfortunate for her.
yeah.
She found a job now in Wicker Park, I
Oh,
believe, where she's
nice.
located. She's
Okay.
actually gonna go get the vaccine on Thursday because she works at
Good
a
for
medical spa.
her.
I was like, oh, aren't you lucky? Can I get
Good
one?
for her. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
gotta wait, I guess. I know I'm gonna have to get it before I go to an actual university because I'm looking to transfer out. Been working
Okay.
on college apps for months and I still have
Okay.
to write some essays and I don't want to.
Oh
But
boy.
I want to know more about the process of picking a college, especially for a student athlete. I know that you played at
Mm.
Florida State. How did you come to the decision that you first wanted to play basketball in school and where you wanted to go to school?
Well, when I was younger and probably around 8 years old, 8, 9, 10, and started to really understand that I liked basketball a lot, and to understand that, and I think probably as I got into middle school and early high school where I understood what a college scholarship meant. That was really the point where I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to try and get a full ride to college by playing basketball. So that was really just set in my mind. And so as I went through high school, it was just, I just, played and really enjoyed what I was doing, but was working hard. And fortunately, I played AU, so I got to events and camps too that college coaches were able to see me play, and so I started to get interest from schools. And honestly, my recruiting process was a nightmare because I had nobody guiding me. My parents had no idea about this process, neither did I. And really, that's helped me as a coach to understand, like, a lot of people, even though it seems natural to us, because this is what we do as college coaches, we recruit, a lot of people don't understand the process. They don't, it's not something you just automatically know how to navigate. And so going through that process, and it was a wild, long, just, I had no idea what I wanted or where I wanted to be. I landed at Florida State. I don't even know how, but it was just, I think it was because it was far away from home, which is what I wanted. It was a big school, and they really made me understand that they wanted me. They wanted me to help build the program. They weren't a very good program. And I just saw an opportunity there to be able to make an immediate impact as a freshman. And that was something I was looking for as well. So I came down to Tallahassee, and the rest is history. It was a really fortunate thing when starting out, I had no idea what I was doing.
From not knowing what you're doing to be drafted into the WNBA,
Yeah,
it sounds like a dream. Honestly,
it
I
worked
want to
out.
learn more about your professional career. What was your favorite team that you played on?
Um, wow, I really enjoyed all of them. I played on 3 different ones, and I enjoyed each of them for different reasons. I think one of my most the experience that impacted me the most as a basketball player would have to be my 3 years with the Connecticut Sun. We went to 2 WNBA finals with that team, in the 3 years I was there, and to just have that experience to play in the WNBA finals, to be on a team with amazing players, like Lindsay Whalen, Nikisha Sales, Katie Douglas, Taj McWilliams Franklin. I mean, the list goes on. Asia Jones. It was a really fun experience. It's fun to be on a great team. It's fun to compete for championships. And that's just the bottom line. That's what
Yeah.
we all want as athletes. So, and I was coached by a great coach, Mike Tebow, who's a legend in the WNBA. Obviously won a championship a couple years ago with the Washington Mystics. And he really just opened my eyes to a whole nother level of basketball, a level of just coaching, and what a coach can do for a team, and with the X's and O's types of side of things. He was a true professional coach, that had coached in the NBA and coached all the great players, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. He'd been in the NBA as an assistant for a long time. So that was a really fun 3 years that I'll never forget. I'm very thankful for that experience.
So, if you could coach in the WNBA in the current state right now,
Mhm.
which team would you coach for and why?
Oh boy. Um, I don't, I wouldn't want to say a specific team. I think what's important after playing in the WNBA and understanding the world of sports, I would want to coach for an organization that is truly invested in that team winning championships. And I think there's different levels to that. But you kind of see, the Minnesota Lynx is a great example. I think they've done an amazing job of just really doing things the right way, investing in a fantastic coach and general manager and Cheryl Reeves, and bringing the players in that they bring in, and treating the team the way they treat the team, making them, putting them in the position to be able to win championships. And so that would be the most important thing to me, is like looking, and that's any job, any college coaching job too. It's like, what's the structure in place? What's the commitment level from top down? Like what's the culture that's been established that you can go in as a coach and be successful and truly get to a place where you can compete for a championship?
Yes, I agree with you on that. Also, Cheryl Reeves,
Yeah, she's cool.
phenomenal. Yeah, even though
She's
Chicago Sky fan here, Cheryl Reeves is
yes.
awesome.
I have to say, okay, since you brought that up, and since you're an Illinois girl, Chicago
Yeah.
girl, like I loved my time with the Sky. I loved my time with the Chicago Sky. I was 4 years there. Met amazing people, played with amazing people. And the fact that I said the Connecticut Sun does nothing to take away from my experience with the Chicago Sky. It was just a different experience. It was a brand new organization, brand new team. And so we were building, but it was an amazing time. I loved my time there. Oops.
All the players that you listed when you're talking about the Sun, this I was like, yeah, that's awesome. My favorite from that list is Lindsay Whalen.
Yes.
I got to see her play one time. It was
Mm,
truly awesome. I
yeah.
went to a Link Storm game. I went to Minnesota. I was visiting my junior year of high school, the University of Minnesota, and
Uh-huh.
I got to go to a WNBA game.
Cool.
I haven't gone to one since I was little. It was like the last one I went to was Chicago Sky and Mystics when Del Don was still here.
Oh, cool. How fun.
And Steph Dolson had the blue hair. I remember
Yeah.
that. That's the only reason I remember is, this person was there. That person had that. It's like, okay.
Yep.
And
That's
I
how
even
you
remember the
remember.
Mystics won that game, and I was sad when I left.
Oh, that's good. That's a good memory you
It was
have.
like
Oh,
from grade school. I
wow.
remember that. The
Wow.
WNBA has impact.
It does. Heck
Everyone,
yeah.
yes.
Heck
Uh,
yeah.
so women's sports leagues are getting more TV time. It's something I talked with Dean Linky last week. The more you put women's sports on TV, the more
Mm-hmm.
people will watch. Um, I know that the ACC has its own like TV station sometimes, and I don't know about local stuff and whatever. But do you think that your team and other college teams specifically don't get as much airtime as the men's teams do?
Uh, I don't know about the ACC network. I think on the ACC network, which has been around for a few years now, I think they do a good job of representing, both representing all their teams. We get all of our ACC games on some kind of, whether if it's not the ACC network, it's televised somewhere else. So they do a fabulous job. In general, though, we know, I mean, women's sports don't get the airtime that men's sports do. And so I think it's both. I understand both sides. I do agree that when there's more exposure, obviously, more people will watch, like you said. I do see the business side of it too. So it's just, where, I mean, there's a bottom line for TV stations and companies and things like that. And so, right, it's like, what do we do? Like, who takes the first step? Like, what has
Yeah.
to happen first for the next to follow? So I see both sides. I do see what's been encouraging is that we live in a world now where there is so much more exposure for women's sports in general, and just a commitment to seeing women as equals in everything, and seeing, empowering women is a huge thing now. It's obviously something we got to continue to do. But what I'm saying is the children that are growing up in our society now, you have little boys and little girls that have never lived in a world without the WNBA, that have never lived in a world without some of these women's sports where I did, I grew up and there was no WNBA. So I think as younger people get older and their world has always included women's sports, I think they will be more apt to be aware of them, and create more opportunities as they become adults, go to games, support these leagues when they have money, if they become part of television companies or what, making sure there's that exposure. I think we're going in the right direction. Obviously, we'd all like it to go a little faster, but
Yeah.
we'll get there.
As someone who's grown up as only going to White Sox games in the summer and not really having much exposure, I had to do the work myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, with summer camps, we went to see a few Sky games. I remember
Cool.
growing up. I think I went to two.
Uh-huh.
Um, Not really much exposure, and I talked about this in one of my previous episodes, and I talked about it last week with Dean Linky. I wrote a paper my junior year of high school talking about the WNBA pay disparity, and my opening was like a little anecdote about me growing up and like, okay, something's wrong here. At Joliet
Mm,
Catholic, we have a thing called the Hill Zone. That is our student cheering section,
mhm,
and the women's team did not have as much of a crowd, barely
uh-huh.
even a crowd, more
Yeah.
like parents just sitting there watching their kids play,
Mhm.
versus the guys, and they have this whole cheering section. I was like, okay, what is this? What is going on? Me as a freshman,
Yeah.
recognizing that right away, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And even our games weren't being announced on the
Mhm.
loudspeaker. I was like, okay,
Mm.
wait a second. I got to do something. So I went to the dean who does the announcement. I was like, hey, there's 3 games left. Can you announce these? And he did. And I was
Good
so
for you.
surprised. And I was like, no one else was going to do this. Maybe
That's
no one else cares. I don't even know if the people that play care, but I care enough that
Aw.
I wrote out a script for him and he read it. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah, let's go. Like, this is great.
That's
Um,
awesome. Great job.
I was
Keep doing
just
that kind of stuff.
I was just so surprised. I was like, you talk about the men's teams, like all of them. Why not include us? You literally and don't fund us, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. They talk about the soccer team. Girls soccer team is fantastic at Joliet Catholic.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Niqua, they don't really have the announcements on every day, so it's not something that I worried about. But we had
Uh-huh.
a good crowd size. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
just because of school population, one small school versus a big school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did
Maybe.
some changing
Good
my
job.
freshman year.
Good job.
I
Great
didn't
job.
really think of it as like a big deal, but now that I look back, I was like,
That's a
you
huge
did
deal.
good.
That's a huge deal. Congrats. And this podcast is a huge deal. You're doing a great thing with
Yes,
this. I
thank
mean,
you.
so keep it up. We
Thank
need
you.
people like you. Yes.
This was just like a small little idea that I had in April. I was like,
Awesome.
okay, I don't have anything to do. Should I do this? And then it grew. That's the one thing that surprised me. It grew and it got outside of the US, which was weird because my
Wow.
first assumption is, do you understand what I'm saying? 'Cause there's so many different countries here. Um, and like Switzerland, Indonesia,
Uh-huh.
Belgium, Poland.
Wow, amazing.
Very confusing, but enough about me. I don't like talking about
No, keep it up. That's great.
myself. You, I guess, are big into recruiting, especially people from Ohio that I've read.
Mm.
Is there a specific reason that you're targeting Ohio especially? Or
Yeah.
so
Well,
what's the process
yes.
of recruiting like, and how do you find the people and be like, oh, yep, they'd be good on our team?
Yeah. Great question. Recruiting is a nonstop day-to-day thing, first and foremost. It never, ever, ever ends. And it really is the most important thing we do in terms of working towards winning. Like the most important thing we do is take care of the players that are here and make sure that they are developing into strong, powerful women who are great basketball players, great students, great people. That's the most important thing we do. But if we want to keep our jobs, we got to recruit. So it's a daily thing. And really, we're fortunate that there are tons and tons of tournaments normally in a non-COVID year. Okay. Like we're out and about recruiting at like tournaments for AAU or like club basketball, where you get to see a ton of players. You get to, like, good programs and good teams, and you kind of go watch, you form relationships with coaches, AAU coaches, high school coaches. There's all kinds of rankings that come out. There's social media, there's word of mouth. I mean, there's so many ways to find out about players. And then we go watch them. And then when we're allowed to, we get in touch with them, talk on the phone, FaceTime, text, Zooms. They come to visit us, we go visit them. It can be a long process. And the reason we recruit Ohio is, well, we're partial because I came down from Ohio all those years ago. And ever since then, for whatever reason, we've had a connection with that state, and have been able to get players to come down. It's pretty much Tallahassee's directly south of Ohio. You just got to get on I-75 and just drive on down pretty much all the way. And so we've had a great connection. And the nice thing about recruiting Ohio is they've got great basketball up there. They do a great job with grassroots basketball. There's lots of opportunities to be trained and taught the game, play on teams at a young age. Not every state has that. Not every state has a good grassroots system set up. So not every state produces players that have a basketball IQ, that have skill sets, and are ready for the college game. So Ohio is one of those states. So we love to look for players up there. They got lots of good ones.
I'm sure. I mean, I would have no idea. In terms of Illinois and the schools, at least that I know of, there's a few that have either signed on to or are playing at big name universities.
Hmm.
Again, with the person that went to my first high school, that is someone that I know of.
Nikki Akamu. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and
One of the
then
greats.
someone that goes to Naperville North is going to Oregon State next year. Someone
Hmm.
from I think Maine West is at Oregon.
Hmm.
Um, a lot
Yeah.
of my friends play at like Benedictine or North Central College, smaller schools.
Hmm.
Someone that I'm waiting to see where one of the now seniors will be going because I talked to them about like their whole process of picking a school. Um, they want to study this one thing, but they don't know if they want to go to this school, and it's like I
Yeah.
don't know what I want to do. She
Yeah.
has pretty good offers lined up, at least from
Yeah.
what I've seen so far. So I don't know what goes on in her mind, but I'm excited to see where she goes because she's
Cool.
just so good and has done a lot for Nequa especially. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
Another question about recruiting and stuff. So
Yeah.
is it like you stay in a state for a certain amount of time, or you're there for a day and then you leave?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the travel process like for you?
Yeah, it can get really crazy. You can go anywhere as long as you have the time. You can go. So, for example, July is a really big month for us where there's a lot of tournaments going on for a couple weeks in July. So, there's been days where, you start and you spend half a day maybe in North Carolina watching games, and then you fly to, or let's say you drive to 3 or 4 hours to another part of North Carolina to another big tournament, or you fly out to Atlanta to be there and maybe catch the last game of the night, and then get up in the morning and be at that tournament the next morning, or get up in the morning and go to another state to see. Like, you're allowed to go anywhere you want, and as many places as you want. There's a lot of schools that have um, like private jets, or they charter private planes. When, for example, we have in March, we're able to go visit juniors in high school, like face to face, go do home visits in a non-COVID year, of course. And so you will have, schools that have a private jet. They will fly in, do a home visit in the first half of the day, and then fly somewhere else and do another visit for the evening. So it can get really crazy, and especially with our schedule in the season. You're just trying to get in and out of places, show your face, say hi, and then go on then to the next place. So yeah, we just try to cover a lot of ground. And the biggest the rules that the NCAA has is that we can only be out 112 days within the year, like the school year, okay, to recruit. So that means if myself and two of our other coaches are out recruiting on one day, that's 3 days. That counts as 3 days. So you got to like split those up and make sure you can't be out every single day. There's limits to it, 112. And then we're not allowed to go see somebody more than 7 times in a year,
It's
school year.
very interesting to know.
Yeah.
Did not know about any of that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys go to Hawaii or Alaska? Is that like big, or do you mostly stay within the 48 states that are here?
We have not gone to Hawaii or Alaska. But there have been some really good players to come out of Alaska for sure.
Hmm.
We go internationally. A lot of teams recruit internationally. So again, like I've left a game, like we finish a game, I hop on a plane and I'm flying to another country in Europe to get there, see that kid that next day, and then fly out the very next morning back to the States. So we do a lot of that international recruiting. There's a lot of international tournaments that we can go to as well in the summer. So anywhere there's players, we're gonna go try and find them anywhere.
Antarctica.
Exactly.
There's one person in Antarctica. They're just waiting for their chance.
Exactly. If they're there, believe me, someone's gonna find
Someone's
them.
gonna go there.
Believe me. Yes.
Be like, you're playing for us now.
Yep.
Congratulations,
Somebody's gonna
scholarship.
find them. Yeah. Come to
Um,
Tallahassee where it's warm.
yeah. Florida's where it's at, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
But
warm. I will say that.
I've heard my friend goes to Tampa. So
Okay. Yeah, Tampa's a great place.
she's told me about it and she keeps trying to convince me to play there. It's like, I'm not going to Florida. Like I think that's a
Oh.
little bit too far for me, honestly. I don't know. My mom has these strict rules. Mom, if you're watching this, no, you didn't hear what I just said. But I'm very restricted when it comes to terms of applying to places. But hey, I'm applying to Syracuse
Oh,
next year.
cool. That's
So,
another, yeah.
yeah, that's
Wow.
I think the farthest one. No, UConn as well. I'm trying
Mm.
to see, can I get in? Is the
Mm-hmm.
question.
Yeah.
Last year was weird because I got into 8 out of 10 schools that I applied to.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get into Minnesota or Iowa. Iowa's was weird because they have this weird system with like number system, and I didn't even give them all my stuff. That's like another topic for another time. It makes me mad when I talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Don't go there. Whew, deep breaths. Stay relaxed.
And it's such a basic school, but their women's team is okay. I mean,
Yeah. They have
they've
a great
produced
program.
a few good folks in the WNBA, so
Yes.
congrats
They
to
have a
them.
great
Uh,
program. Yes.
Speaking of alumni, do you have a favorite Florida State person that is playing in the WNBA right now?
Yes, I do. There is a person, her name is Natasha Howard, who has just really done an amazing job making us all proud in the WNBA. She has won 3 WNBA championships and has played in a bunch of WNBA finals. Has won all kinds of awards, 6 Women of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. And she just continues to do so well. We're so proud of her. She's plays for the Seattle Storm currently. And yeah, they just won a championship in the bubble. So we were
Yeah, I
so
watched
happy.
that
And she's an
game.
Ohio girl. She's from Ohio. Go figure.
I didn't know that. You know what? Now that makes a lot of sense
Yep.
now. Yeah. I That game that I went to see in Minnesota, she was in that game, and I was watching the Seattle Storm. I was like, you know what? All these people are fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
they're really good.
of course they're gonna win. Although I didn't have them win, the Storm winning this year. I really thought it was gonna be someone else. But you know what?
Mm,
Brianna Stewart and Super coming
yeah.
back healthy.
How
What else do you expect?
how can you? Yeah, it's pretty darn hard to compete with those guys. Wow. Yeah, they
Yeah,
had a
it's just
phenomenal team.
star power.
Yeah, they're so
Period.
good. So good. So fun to watch. Yeah.
The good old days of looking back and being like, yeah, they were immaculate. I wanna ask you about playing overseas, because what we saw with Brianna Stewart, her tearing her ACL, or I don't remember if it was
Achilles, her
Achilles,
Achilles.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I think Alyssa Thomas is injured too. I think I read
Hmm.
it this morning or
Hmm.
yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
Playing overseas, good or
Hmm.
bad?
It's a more complicated answer than that. And obviously, the issue is that it can be bad or it can be tough in the sense of these women don't get a rest. They do not get a chance to fully rest. They play a WNBA season, which is jam-packed with a ton of games. And then pretty soon thereafter, they're off to play overseas and normal basketball season. And then they come back and they go to WNBA training camp and jump in, so they're playing elite level basketball. They're playing a lot of minutes. They're asked to do a lot because on their overseas teams, they are usually the best players over there or have a really important role on their teams over there. And so it's just a lot on their bodies and year after year. So, but the other side of it is that it's very lucrative to play overseas, first and foremost, and the opportunity to make money playing basketball, doing what you love is huge over there. And then you also have a great opportunity to play in your own country in the WNBA, or if it's an international player, to come over and play in the best league in the world, which is the WNBA. So there's not many players that are willing to turn down either opportunity. So what do? And so it's a really, really tough thing, kind of, having to choose, or just, yeah, sacrificing your body year after year. So you do see the injuries, you do see the wear and tear. And unfortunately, so maybe one day we'll get to a place where I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know where the WNBA could be a normal season. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how close we are to that.
I think we're far away from that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, especially with this year, we have NBA fans complaining that the off season was too short.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I even made an episode about it. Stop
Mm.
crying about how short your off season is. First of all, if
Yeah.
you're complaining about that, look at the NWSL and the WNBA, where we have players going overseas to play so they can live.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Exactly.
They need to work to earn money so they can live.
Absolutely.
I know that some people have started their own companies as well to keep afloat during the off season, which is also
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Yeah.
Time will tell, honestly, if
Yeah.
anything is going to change within the league because of injuries
Yep.
and being away from your family. Choosing,
Yep.
do I want money or do I want to chill at home? It's a
Mm-hmm.
choice that you got to make,
Yep.
unfortunately for them. But
Yeah.
the NBA, they got they got so
Yeah.
much.
They do. They
It makes
do.
me
And they've,
cry.
yeah, but they've built up to that. I mean, their
Yeah,
their league was, kind of in
just
a
like the
similar spot.
WNBA. Yeah,
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be there one day too.
time will tell. Time will tell. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm just gonna do rapid fire questions.
Oh boy.
These are very silly questions, and then we're
Okay.
gonna we're gonna wrap things up. Favorite color?
Oh my gosh. Favorite color?
Yeah, I gotta
Ah,
do
I
it.
always say garnet. Garnet and gold. Those are Florida State colors. Garnet and gold.
That's your answer?
Yes.
You're just doing
Because
it so
otherwise
you
it's
represent the
black.
team.
Yes, but I like black. Like I wear a lot of black clothes. I don't know,
Oh
black.
my god, you should talk to my sister. All she does is ever wear black. I mean, I really
So
can't
great.
talk right now. I'm wearing.
You
I'm
are wearing
wearing.
black. Yep.
No, I'm not. Favorite sports team to watch?
Woo, man. Favorite sports. I'm sorry, I'm not good at rapid fire. Favorite sports teams to watch. Well, Florida State Seminoles, my team. I love
Okay.
watching them. But no, I really, gosh, this year I'm really enjoying watching the Miami Heat.
Tyler
Bandwagon.
Hero.
Yeah, bandwagon right there. But no, and I will say the Seattle Storm. I love watching the Storm play.
In your opinion, who is the team of the year from 2020?
I would say Seattle Storm is up for that. Gosh, and the Lakers. I think the Lakers are great. Uh, I'm just all basketball. I don't like I've been so under a rock with any other sport, so I'm not a good person to ask, but I think those two teams like doing what they did in the bubble for me was something that I think was took a lot of commitment, I mean and a lot of heart, and so I was proud of those two teams.
If you can add an expansion team in the WNBA, where would you add it and why?
Interesting. Um, gosh. I would love to see one in Miami again. It would be fun. I would love to have a team in Florida, a WNBA team in Florida again. So I'd say Miami.
Do you have a team name in mind?
The Soul, of course. Again, like we
You're
can't
gonna
change the
name it again?
name.
Okay.
The
I'll give you
Soul.
that. Okay.
I
Okay.
like
Do you have a favorite book right now?
favorite book. gosh. I see, this is my problem. I blank on all these questions. I blank, I
That's
blank, I
fine.
blank. You know what I'm reading right now? It's called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it's a really classic book about mental training when it comes to sports and coaching. So it's called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it's fascinating. And I highly recommend. It's a classic.
I'm gonna check that out. I haven't done much reading myself. I used to be a huge
Hmm.
bookworm. I even did a race of reading Harry Potter with my best friend in
Oh,
middle
wow.
school. I
Wow.
won. I read all those books. I
Good
remember everything.
job.
I remember everything. I watched all the movies too. But yeah, are you
Awesome.
a Harry Potter person?
You know what? I'm not, but I want to read the series. I want to read them. Like I haven't gotten into it, but one of my sisters just did it. She just read them all. She's a grown adult, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to read these books. They're amazing." I couldn't put them down. I was like, "Okay." So I do want to do that.
Okay, do you
My
have a
daughter's into
favorite?
Harry Potter movies.
Okay. Does
Yeah.
she have a house assigned to her? Did she pick something that she likes?
I don't
House?
know.
You
She
don't know
hasn't.
anything about
No,
that?
I
No?
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, she hasn't mentioned that. So no.
No. I'm either a Ravenclaw or a Gryffindor.
Okay. I've heard of
Uh,
Gryffindor.
I don't know which one suits me more. My sister thinks I'm a Slytherin, but she's biased. She's 14 and she's biased.
I'll have to read them and then let you know.
Okay. What is your favorite social media app?
I would say Twitter. Instagram's not too far behind there.
Okay, and one more rapid fire question, and then I just thought of something.
Okay.
Um, so if you could live anywhere in the world, where
Mm.
would you want to live and why?
I would want to live in Spain. I would want to live in Spain. I love Spain. I played there. My fiance is from there, and he's actually there right now, and he can't get over here because of stupid COVID. But I would love to be able to live in Spain. I absolutely love it over there.
Where specifically?
I would probably live where he lives, which is the northwestern part of Spain. It's Galicia. It's right next to Portugal. That's where he's from. So I'd live there, or I'd live in Madrid. I lived in Madrid for a year and played there, and I absolutely loved it. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
And so this is I just thought of this. I was actually thinking of it before. I was like, how do I form this question the correct way? So within the current climate, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement within the WNBA, NBA, and all the other sports leagues,
Hmm.
that have said, Black Lives Matter, do
Hmm.
you feel like you yourself and the players have the ability to express their opinions and voices for good, or do you feel like they're censored or scared to do so?
Hmm.
I'm kind of interested in, especially just because these are college athletes, which is kind of different from being
Yes,
professional, because they're
correct.
also a student too at the same time. So I just want to
Correct.
know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think our players have a platform that they feel comfortable or that they know that they can use. We've made it very clear. Our university has made it very clear. Our athletic department has made it clear that they can speak out and stand up for a Black Lives Matter cause or social justice or any, whatever cause it may be. Um, what we work really hard on is giving them that platform, making sure they understand that they have that, making them feel valued and comfortable if there is something that they want to say or speak out about, but also helping them find ways that their message is going to be received in the best way. It's so easy for all of us, myself included, to be reactionary, to um, do things and want to speak out of anger or frustration, and sometimes that's good, but there's other times where it really helps to, when cooler minds prevail, and to think through, okay, how is my message, whatever I want to say, how is it going to be to get across the best way, how is it going to be received by the most people, in the way I want it to be received. How am I going to be received in the way I want to be received? And what can I do to present myself in that way? So we talk a lot about that, about what really makes an impact and what's just yelling into an echo chamber. where it's, like that. So it's been an awesome learning experience for all of us during 2020, and all the craziness and unfortunate events that have happened, and also really good things that have come out of some really unfortunate events. So yes, we are always making sure that our student athletes feel like they have a platform and that we're supporting them, but we're also helping each other to understand what's the best way to get my message across that it has the most impact.
This is a great answer to my question. Like
It's a
really
great
in depth.
question.
I especially, being a college student as well, even though I'm at home, I feel like I have a responsibility to speak out and be like, hey, this is what's happening, and you gotta pay attention. And just
Mhm.
to be aware and to be participating, of course, in elections and stuff like that. Was
Yes.
everyone who could vote registered to vote and participated?
Yes.
Yes.
100% registered.
Awesome.
Well, we have 3 internationals,
Yeah.
so they didn't. But yes, everybody that did, and we worked really, really hard on that. Yes. So that was encouraging.
That is awesome. I At the end of some of my episodes back when, I
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, register to vote." Even in
Yes.
my podcast descriptions, I have the link to register to vote
Very
down
cool.
there, so people can have that opportunity. I'm not going to remove that, even though you
Very
can't really
cool.
do that right now, but it's always there. Just
Yep.
anyone that's listening that can vote or will be able to vote in the future, there's always a link down below to do that.
Awesome.
Um, Participate in elections. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is gonna do it for today's episode. Coach, is there anything that you want to shout out before we go?
Man, this has been so great, Gianna. I just want to shout you out. Like, you are doing an amazing thing for someone so young. These were fantastic questions, and I'm just really excited to be a part of this, and just want to say, you go, girl. Let's keep going. Keep doing you, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much. Okay, so
Yes.
you guys know what the drill is at the end of each episode. We are in a pandemic. Remember? Cool. Wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance when you can. And it's just a great little thing that I do at the end of each episode. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can actually follow me at WSM Podcast. Where can people follow you at?
Oh, on Twitter at Coach Brooke FSU, and Instagram. I don't even know my names on Instagram. Follow Seminoles Women's Basketball. That's better than even following me, and you'll find me through there. Seminoles Women's Basketball. Sorry, I don't even know. You can put it in the show notes. Maybe I'll send you my handles.
I think I'll find them eventually or something. But hey, I
Thank you.
also have an Instagram. It's at Women's Sports Matter.
Okay, I'll follow
Yeah,
you. I'll give
everyone
you a
go
follow.
follow me. We're like 15 followers strong, I guess, maybe 16 now, I guess. Guys, I also have a YouTube channel. If you want to watch this wonderful episode, you can. You see my okay face and the amazing coach. So if you want to see that, you can go to YouTube. It's the Women's Sports Matter podcast. Go and subscribe. We're 6 subscribers strong. Awesome. If you are listening to me on YouTube, I would just like to say thank you, because I don't get as many views on here as I do versus real podcasts. So thank you so much for doing that. I just want to shout out the people that actually watch these episodes, which is a different experience versus just listening to me. Um, Also, if you don't know where to listen to me to, there's links down below for all the applications that I'm on. I'm on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Anchor, so many more. So go and check that out. I have one thing to promote. I'm gonna have a new logo soon. I'm in the works for making a new one, a new little redesign, I guess. That will be up today when I'm showing this. So, well, tomorrow, I guess, because it's not Thursday yet. But when you see this episode, it's a new logo. So, yay. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Gianna Castro. I'm your host, and that is all, folks. See you next time. That's a wrap.
Thanks, Gianna. That was great. Thank you so much. Great
Thank you.
questions. You're very good at this. I wish you all the
Bye.
best.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. Thanks so much for having
Yes,
me.
this will be up at, well, my time, 10 a.m. Central Time.
Okay.
So tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you, Gianna. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye.
rest of your season.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.